Hi, I'm Phil DiCollegiero. I'm the Executive Director of the Amesbury Chamber of Commerce, and you're joining us for another episode of Behind the Brick Wall. This is where we partner up with our friends at Mountaintop Landscaping, as well as our friends at Faulkner Commercial Group, led by Janet Faulkner, as well as our friends at Amesbury Community Television, to take a sneak peek behind the brick wall of the Amesbury businesses that help drive our local economy. Today we're going on a couple neat visits actually, and I'm especially excited because, Janet, you're taking us to see some businesses that are new to the Amesbury business community.
Correct, new businesses, and that is so much fun to get to meet them and to hear about why they chose Amesbury and what their offerings are, what their background is. So today we will be at Sunny's Natural Wine, and we will learn more about their business. And then we're going to take a trip over to CNA stores, and we will be meeting with Rob DeFazio, and we'll learn about he's got a very interesting story. We'll hear about what he offers, and also he does a lot of philanthropy. He works on a lot of good causes, so we'll talk to him about some of that too.
So wine, cannabis, and philanthropy. Sounds like
a good combination.
Good combination.
Right.
I'm excited because those are truly two new businesses in the city that didn't exist until relatively recently. So wow, here's a real chance where we get to be introduced.
Yeah, great, and looking forward to it. Let's go.
Okay, let's check it out.
We have Laura and Caitlin here, so they're going to tell us about their shop and what brought them to Amesbury. Thanks for letting us do this.
Thanks for being
Thanks
here.
for having us, yeah. Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about how long you've been here, what brought you to Amesbury. Let's start with that.
Okay. We've been here for about 6 months, and I'm actually originally from Newburyport. And so when we came to visit last year, essentially, for Mother's Day, Laura kind of fell in love with it, and we were itching to get out of New York City, and it just felt like a really smart move to come to where I used to live and open up a shop during a pandemic. Why not? Right?
Brave. That's great. So tell us a little bit about the shop and about the concept.
Sure.
How did that start?
Well, I mean, ultimately it really was because that's all we drank in New York. And again, Laura would come to the bar I worked at, and I'd be like, you gotta taste this, it's so good. And it was always a rotating cast of wines on the list, so we got to taste a lot of really fun stuff. So when we got here, we were trying to suss out, like, what could we do that feels authentic to us, and it felt like authentic wine doing really wonderful things was right, because there's so many farms here and there's so many boutique breweries. It felt right in line, actually, even with Amesbury and with the North Shore just in general. So it felt like a good match.
And what makes your wine shop different than there are other stores in town that sell wine? Tell us about the natural wines that you have and some of the differences and some of the benefits.
Well, we have a lot of people who come in here and they say, I can't even drink red wine. I can only drink white wine. And we go, look, you try one of these wines, you are going to feel completely different. You're not going to feel like you have a headache. You're not going to have a reaction on your skin. We both used to feel allergic to red wine. This is like a small little part of natural wine just in general, but there are no preservatives or chemicals in these wines. And a lot of wine shops in the area do carry some wines that are like this. It's not that you can't find them, actually, but that you can come here and you can really rest assured that the products that we have, we've really kind of vetted them and made sure that someone who's here who's like sensitive to different chemicals is going to feel really good getting anything on our shelves. And so that's really important to us. So.
Great. Now you mentioned that you started during the time of COVID. Mm-hmm. So tell us how you navigated that, and what was that like?
What do you think, Laura?
We navigated it blindly. I think, moving here from New York, we were both on the brink of different projects in New York when last year happened, and so I think we still had a lot of energy around that. We actually found the space before we knew what we were going to do with it. But it's been, it's been so, Amesbury's been so open and supportive and lovely. It's been really easy to navigate because we've had such good support. But yeah, people are still drinking, and I think it's been.
Yeah.
Tell us about what your average customer is like. Is there a certain demographic?
There
Runs the
isn't
gamut.
one.
Yeah.
I think that's also something we've really enjoyed experiencing here in Amesbury. Coming from New York with, you can really live in your own little bubble there. And here we have regulars all over the board. Young families, older
gentlemen who just always come in and get their Chardonnay.
It's really
a lot of regulars, a lot of regular customers.
Absolutely.
We've been so lucky with so many regulars. Yeah.
I see on the door that you deliver.
We do.
We do. Yeah.
Great.
Well, I deliver.
I don't know how to drive,
Caitlin
so
can't drive yet, but I will deliver the wine. Yeah.
Laura will be delivering your wine.
Yeah.
If you do.
So tell us about the background that you have. You mentioned that you worked somewhere where you experienced natural wines and you really liked the difference. So tell us what in your background makes you successful at this?
Well,
other than being courageous.
I honestly, I've worked in the industry for 16 years now. Basically, since I could be a waitress. I was a hostess, then I was a waitress, then I moved to a bartender position, and I was a bartender for many, many years. And I was very lucky to work at multiple places in New York that were kind of on the forefront of just doing natural wine in like a really big way. And so I feel very lucky for that. So that, and that I'm just a performer in general, and I love being behind a bar. I just feel like it's so fun to give people a good experience. And this is not quite like that because it's not a bar, but it's really exciting to recommend something to someone. And they come back and they say, I loved that. It was perfect.
That's
I wish I could have been there for it,
Yeah.
but it's close. Yeah. So that's why I like it so much.
And what are your plans for growth? I know you have you have some plans to add to your business. Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Sure.
We do. We are in the process of also opening up a wine bar up the street on Friend Street.
Because why not?
Because why not? And we also just had so many people come in and be like, can we drink in here? It kind of looks like you should be able to drink in here in so many ways.
It's really a beautiful
right?
space.
Thank you. And we're just excited to, again, be doing what we were just talking about, just the community and having people come in, and there's such a diverse group of people who, again, it's young families, it's their kids, it's older gentlemen, it's, grandmas buying wine for their daughters. It's really lovely. So we're really excited to be doing that as well. So
Great.
Yeah.
So perhaps we can do this again once you expand into that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We can pour you a glass.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm up for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, because I've shopped here and
Yes.
have picked up some great wines that you recommended. So that was
thank you.
great.
Yeah.
So Laura and Caitlin, tell everybody what made you choose Amesbury. How did you decide to start this venture here versus some other local options?
Sure.
Well, after we had moved up here, Caitlin and I were just kind of feeling the lay of the land, and Caitlin I drove us to Amesbury, and because her mom used to have a shop here called Fancy Schmancy.
Yep.
And we were just walking around, and I was thinking how cute it is here, and how charming and warm, and we had been in Newburyport and some other surrounding areas, and we didn't quite get the same feeling that we had when we were here.
Yeah.
And we were having a drink outside of Fortune Bar, and we both kind of just looked at each other and were like,
we're gonna do here.
Do something here. This feels right.
Yeah.
So
It felt right. It felt like home.
it did.
It did.
It felt welcoming and more community based. I think we're both big on community, and I think with some of the surrounding areas we were a little nervous about it being more tourist driven, where here we felt like we really would have the regulars in the community and be able to be supportive of the community during such a hard time.
Well, and I was just going to ask you about that, because you started this business during COVID. So who does that? So tell us a little bit about that. Why?
Well, we're crazy.
why and how did that all come about?
I think we were both we both could have collected unemployment for the duration of COVID, and that would have been okay. But we're just not those types of people. I think we found this space and we thought, we got to do something. We got to do something because we missed people, I think, in a really big way.
So you found Amesbury and fell in love with Amesbury.
Yes.
Then you found the space and fell in love with the space and said, okay, how are we going to morph this into a business?
Yes.
That's how that went.
That's literally how it went.
All right.
And I think it's kind of, in hindsight, the funny foreshadowing of this all is that the first thing we bought when we went into lockdown was a case of natural wine.
Yeah.
So I feel like
our
that
fridge was
really,
just full of natural wine.
Literally,
no food.
Everyone was worried about toilet paper and paper towel, and we were worried about natural wine.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there you go.
Well, it's basically fruit, right? So
it is.
It's good for you.
It's honestly good
It's
for
good for you. It's made well by good people doing good things. So.
Yes, exactly.
Excellent. Yeah, great. Yeah. Anything else that you want to share about your experience here, your experience in Amesbury, or something that someone who might be contemplating opening a business? Anything that you want to throw out there?
I think this community is so hungry for and welcoming to anyone.
Entrepreneurs.
Anyone that wants to open a business. And it's been a scary time to open something, and I think we've really felt how important it is to everyone in the community to do supporting local. And they check in with us every week. How's it going? Is it good? I've told my friend to come here. So I would highly suggest anyone that wants to come to Amesbury to consider it. I think.
Take the risk.
Yeah.
Great.
It doesn't feel like a risk. I mean, we're considering a second business here. So.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Well, we're very, very happy to have you, and we're really looking forward to seeing your business thrive here.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting us come in and do this and get your information out to everybody.
Sure.
Thank you.
Wishing you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
That was pretty neat.
It was fun, and we got to sample some of their wine, and actually I was able to purchase some to bring home, so it was great.
It was a worthy trip. So I think I get a kick out of the fact that Laura and Caitlin said it's time to go back to Massachusetts after they were, I think you said Brooklyn, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they were in New York, and they fell in love with Amesbury as they were driving through Amesbury. It felt like home to them, and I loved that story. Also, they decided to open their business during COVID. I mean, who does that? And they took a risk, and they're doing really well. So,
savvy entrepreneurs do that, and especially when they pick Amesbury. And so I'm psyched that Laura and Caitlin picked us. I'm psyched that they actually brought their business into a storefront that had been vacant for years.
And they happen to be from Newburyport.
Yeah, I know, and they picked the better community.
So that's a win. We got them on this side of the river.
That was happy with me.
Great.
So our next adventure, though, we're going to check out, again, another new business, but one that's not exactly selling natural wine, but they're selling something else that's natural, right?
Yes, which what a huge operation they have there. So that was very interesting to see as well. It was really nice to sit down with Rob.
Well, let's go check them out. CNA Stores, here we come.
Everybody, this is Rob DeFazio with CNA Stores, and we're here today to hear about the business. You have multiple locations, lots of different products, lots to talk about. Thanks for having us in today.
Well, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity.
Tell us a little bit about your background, how you got started in this business. Actually, maybe start with, tell us about the business.
So CNA Stores, veteran-owned business. We're a cannabis shop. We're in the process of doing, we've got 2 retail stores. We're opening our cultivation site in Amesbury. I got into the industry, I actually was in the military. I was in the nuclear power program for the Navy, and when I got out of that, I went into data centers. And I kind of grew up through the Y2K, the dot bombs, dot coms, whatever you want to call them, all the way up until about 2018. I had started my own business. I had 2 veteran-owned businesses that worked in the data center industry. And my son was graduating from college, said, "Hey, Dad, they've made cannabis legal in Massachusetts. Let's get into that at the beginning, like you did in data centers." And I'm like, well, let me take a look at it. And I started looking, and originally did a little bit of investing, but then I kind of saw that it was taking off, and my son was graduating, so I said, come on, let's go do it.
Great.
So it's kind of a family business from that standpoint. My son's the manager of our Haverhill store, we've got a lot of friends and family. I kind of think of CNA stores as one big extension of my family. And it's the culture that we're trying to create is to have that family type environment to where, someone needs help. If your brother or sister, you don't question it, you go and do it. And that's kind of what we're trying to create in this work environment here with what we do. And it was interesting because, one of my conversations I remember having with my wife was saying, look, it's coming to Amesbury, whether we do it or not. I said, I would like to be the one to control it, because if it doesn't work, I can shut it down.
Yeah.
I said, so why not do it? She's like, well, and I'm like, him and Han, and I said, what's the worst that could happen? And she's like, well, I guess, if you're controlling it, then it'll hopefully turn out good, and if it doesn't, she's like, I know you'll shut it down. And I've got, all my kids grew up in Amesbury. I've been living there since 2003. I've got my son Shay's 16, he's in the high school, and my 2 kids graduated from Amesbury High School. They've gone on, and my 2 older kids have gone on and graduated, from college, and now my son works with me here, and my daughter's got her own business, but it's been an interesting, I'd say 3 years from when we started this to where we're at now.
Great.
Never thought it would take that long, but I guess, in the long run, it'll turn out good,
So you live in Amesbury.
Yep.
You're raising your family in Amesbury, and your business is at 77 Macy Street.
Yep.
Right, great. Right by the Irving Station, Rocky Hill Road.
Yep.
There.
Right as you come off 495. We're the first building on the right.
So you have three locations.
We have 2 locations.
2 locations.
Well, we technically have 2 retail stores and then a cultivation site. The cultivation site's on South Hunt Road. We're in the process of building that out right now. So that'll allow us to grow and sell our own cannabis products, from manufactured edibles to pure flower and pre-rolls and things of that nature.
And tell us about your typical customer.
Believe it or not, our typical customer is the average customer is about 47, 48 years old. Mature, hardworking adults. It's interesting to see how, we get people coming in here that are 70 plus. I think last week we had an 88-year-old come in when I was working out front, and to me, it's amazing, because you would think you would get the younger generation. You do still get those, but because of the prices, they're not really able to afford a lot of it to some degree. But you still have those, a good mix of customers that come in, and it's funny because it's a lot of people that, haven't tried it before or tried it back when they were in college 20, 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. And, they come in and I tell my employees that it's not turnstile. We don't care how fast or how long they take. We need to create that experience, right? So that when they come into our stores, they feel like they're welcome, they get all their questions answered, and we're not rushing them out the door. So again, it's just trying to create that whole experience as you come in. If you kind of look at our stores when you come in, it's a natural woods kind of nice and welcoming. We get music playing, you get a great vibe. And our staff, I look at our company as, the most important person in our company is the bud tenders helping our customers, because if they don't do a good job, then our customers
From an
don't.
Education
Education to personality to being nice, and inviting, and then just, getting to know them. It's kind of like when I remember, like Norm in Cheers, right? Where, they walk in, hey, Norm, that's what I want. When people come in here, our staff know those people, and they're like, hey, we got a new product in. Try this, try that. A new strain of marijuana, let's try that one. And you get to know them to the point where that, when they come walking in, oh, hey, we got this new one in, you should try it. And that's the kind of feeling that people get when they come in here. Some people, they come in, they do a pre-order, buy it and leave. Don't say a word. But a lot of them, what we're finding out is that they want to talk. They want to understand what's out there, what's new, what's good, what's bad.
So there's a whole consulting aspect to it.
Yep.
So the people that you have behind the counter are educating and determining the best product for the customer.
Yeah, and in most of the cases, it all depends on their experience level, right? Not our bud tenders, but our customers, whether they've tried it before or not. So worst thing you want to do is have a customer who's never smoked before come in and they say, I want to buy something that's the highest THC. You don't want to ever do that, because what you'll probably end up doing is they'll get extremely paranoid because they have never smoked it before and they don't know what to expect, and they never come back, and you lose them as a customer and potentially to the cannabis industry altogether. So you start them off with a lower THC, ones that have good flavor and terpenes and things of that nature, to help them ease their way into it, so they don't get that anxiety associated with them thinking that everybody thinks I'm high. Oh my goodness!
So it's a relatively new industry. So there's a lot there for you to educate people.
There is, and it's interesting because we all our employees have to go through training that the state requires, but we take it a little bit further and we get them certified in some cases as master cannabis certification that's put out by the Cannabis University. So they get a master's certification which teaches them all about edibles. It teaches them all about how to make edibles, all the different types of strains, the history behind cannabis, the laws associated with it. It's a lot of great information, and how it how it impacts you from an indica standpoint, sativa standpoint, or certain, like people want to sleep, you don't give them an indica, you give them a sativa, you give them an indica. And what they can use to help them with, even from that standpoint, sleep, anxiety, and other things, pain and whatnot. So it does a lot of good. Like for example, my mother has early onset of Parkinson's disease and her hands shake. I got her a 1-to-1 tincture, which is one for every milligram of THC, there's a milligram of CBD. And that stops her hand from shaking.
Interesting.
Is it the cure? No, because a couple hours later it starts shaking again. But she can actually have dinner with us and not spill her wine as she's taking a sip, which is great. It gives her a better quality of life and things of that nature. So there's a lot of healing and good that comes from cannabis in that aspect. Yes, we're recreational stores, but at the end of the day, it's the same plant, whether you go to a medical store or a rec store. And the only difference is your taxes. You pay more in tax on the recreational side than you do on the medicinal side.
So that's really interesting. How many employees do you have with the two stores?
With the two stores, we're up to about 32 employees.
Okay.
Yep.
Full-time, part-time?
Most of them are full-time. I think we have maybe 2 or 3 part-timers right now.
And what made you want to open in Amesbury?
One, because it was coming.
Besides the fact that you live there.
Well, I lived there and it was coming there, but I had another business that I ran out of downtown Main Street in Amesbury. We were in the old post office building, and I had sold that business.
I'm old enough to remember when that was the post office.
When we when I sold that business, that's kind of where I said, let's do something else. I was 46, so I'm like, I got to do something, you know, and that's, my son came up with the idea, and we saw the location, and we said, you know what, let's do it. So Amesbury, its location, it's kind of hard on location-wise, because you have to find a landlord that owns the building, because it's not legal federally, so you can't just go anywhere. Like, we tried to go into where Papagino's was, over in Stop and Shop, and that building has a mortgage on it, and because it does, it's the bank, and they're backed by the FDIC, so they couldn't lease us space. So it was interesting to see what was available. There was really 2 spaces, and guess what? ATG's in one, and we're in the other.
Right.
You know, and that's how it kind of landed from that aspect. And Amesbury, it's where I live, so I mean that's why we're doing our cultivation site there, and we're doing our retail there.
Great.
You know?
What's the expectation on when the cultivation space will open?
We started demo. We're at the point, probably, I'd say this time next year we'll be growing flower and producing, selling it. So about a year from now.
Great. So what are your future plans? More stores? What are your any expansion plans?
So we have, in the industry, you can only have 3 retail stores. We have 2, Haverhill and Amesbury. We're looking for our 3rd one in Boston. We've got a location in Dorchester that we've secured. We're also looking at another location in Seaport District. We're also, one of my employees, we're getting him set up as a delivery company so that we can actually do deliveries if needed. So a lot of different things. We've got 144 acres in Winchton, Mass. that we're going to do another cultivation site at. We're going to take about 20 acres to do the cultivation site. The rest of that will be for veteran housing. So we're going to create our own workforce by our cultivation site. So not only will they have a place to live, but they'll also have a place to work. So it's kind of an interesting...
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's great because we've partnered with Terry O'Reilly and Dave Jensen. They own the property. They're both ex-Bruins players.
Right.
Great guys, and
See, I'm old enough to know that too.
I met them because our lobbyist was working with another company doing tiny homes for veterans down in Milford, and she said, "Hey, you're on the board at VNOC here in Haverhill, housing, for homeless veterans, and can you talk to these guys and see what they're looking at?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And I talked to them. And the person who was making the tiny houses said, "Hey, you got to talk to these guys out here in Winchton." So I started chatting with them, and they started, "Hey, we want to do tiny homes, this, that, and everything." And I told them what I did, and they're like, "Hey, I think our property is zoned for that."
Great synergy.
Yeah, and it was just, you kind of, sometimes, you get lucky, right? Things just kind of come together, And to me, the definition of luck is when someone prepared meets an opportunity, right? So that opportunity popped itself up, and I said, "Hey guys, let's see what we can do together." And we're working on. We've got our HCA out there. We've got our plans started for that site. So if you think about CNA stores and what we plan on doing, we're going to be a multi-state operator. So we're looking at going into New York next year when it opens up. I want to take this business to the point where it as far as it can go, but we're trying to create a brand that's kind of synergistic around, helping veterans and communities to providing top quality. You don't want to be the well vodka in the bar. You want to be the top shelf like Grey Goose. And that's kind of where I look at it, that's where I think we are trying to drive CNA stores, is to drive that quality, And it was funny because when I worked in the data center industry, I worked for Google, Facebook, Amazon, all those big guys. And I go into the meeting and say, "Yeah, I'm from Amesbury, Massachusetts." They're like, "Where the heck is that?" I'm like, "It's 45 minutes north of Boston." I said, "You didn't hire me because of where I live." I said, "You hired me because of what we do and our reputation." That's kind of how I want to take that approach with this side of this business, is that brand. They want that. We want to get that, name recognition to where people can see our little crown and say, "Oh, that's CNA Stores," and they know what we do. I was in Newport, Rhode Island, down at my friend's bar, probably at Patty's Day, St. Patrick's Day, and I was sitting there and a guy saw my hat and he's like, "What do you do?" And I said, "Oh, we're a cannabis company." He said, I knew it was, because he saw our brand. He kind of, it made sense to him. That's what we're trying to drive here, is trying to create something that'll help build, a company that's sustainable, that provides good jobs to support local communities and things of that nature. And it's fun. When you go to work and it's fun, it doesn't seem like work.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
And I tell people I've retired because I'm having fun every day with what I'm doing.
Right.
And sure, there are some days where it's not, all beautiful and smells like roses, but there are more of those days than not. And it's, like I said, working with my son is great. It's a lot of fun.
Now, I know that you're a local businessman, but I know that you also are known for the philanthropy. So tell us a little bit about what some of your pet projects are.
So we've been very fortunate to have a great team, because they bring up these ideas that I don't even think of, and some of them are awesome. Like we do Snow Angels, which help shovel out the the elderly and veterans in Amesbury and in Haverhill. So I think last year we had upwards of about 80 people that we shoveled out. And then we also work with Mass Fallen Heroes. We're setting up a store in Amesbury for veterans to go in and shop with steep discounts through Mass Fallen Heroes. They partner with TJX, so they get a lot of their out-of-date products and things of that nature, but it's pretty good. We also do... We've done a lot with VNOC, which is Veterans Northeast Outreach, and that's for housing veterans. We do a lot for, like, last Thanksgiving till the end of the year, we fed over 12,000 families.
Wow.
Out of our cultivation site. We had trailers come in with the help of Mass Military Support Foundation, and with working with the guys from Mass Fallen Heroes. We set up shop where they bring in 1,000 boxes of food that feeds a family for a week.
Wonderful.
And we would distribute out of there, to the point where we were actually bringing them down to some of the nonprofits, and so they didn't have to come pick them up. To the point where we even had individuals driving up and grabbing meals.
Great.
So it's a lot of fun when you help people in ways when they don't realize it. Like one of the big things I do is the Pan Mass Challenge. So I'm on Team Lung Strong, which is Diane Legg, and that's a nonprofit in Amesbury. And we've got, I think, over 88 riders riding the PMC. And that's a significant amount of money every year that we were almost, I think she's risen about $4 million.
That's incredible.
It's insane. And what's funny is I'm a big guy. When I tell people I ride a bike 180 miles, they think a motorcycle, right? I'm like, no, it's a bicycle. I said, gravity's my friend on the downhill. But I get to the finish line, and Diane's been there already 2 hours ahead of me. She's got stage 4 lung cancer. It's amazing that she can still do this every day or every year, and she still beats me. And I try like hell to catch her, but it never works.
I would guess that you're a little competitive.
Maybe, just a smidgen.
Well, and I know we have to wrap this up. I'd love to talk to you more offline on how we might be able to support some of the charities.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. It was great.
That you're involved with. So thanks. Thank you. It's been great. Thanks so much for letting us come in and talk to you.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming in.
Rob's pretty interesting. That talk about a neat business.
He's got a great story, and the work that he does to support veterans was something I didn't know about. So this is really a great opportunity that you've given us to be able to just showcase some of these people, these great business owners in Amesbury.
I thought what was cool about today with your visits is to learn more about natural wine, because we think we know about wine, but to learn how actually there are real differences that exist, right? But then to also learn about cannabis, which we hear a lot about in some communities. I live in a community where it can be a really hot topic, And Amesbury has already allowed 2 retail cannabis businesses, including CNA stores, to open, and I think the economic benefits have been great. I think that we just saw, kind of again a sneak peek behind that brick wall of all of their philanthropic efforts, how they drive so much activity and money and energy behind a lot of the groups, the nonprofit groups we care about. It just, talk about community.
Yeah, it's really great. And what I have found very interesting is all of these business owners have such a knowledge of the products that you can go in and really learn about what their offerings are.
Well, I know that we only give them a snapshot, give you as viewers a snapshot, and Janet, we spend a lot of time with these business owners. If people want to learn more, they certainly can go, and we encourage them to go check out those stores.
Absolutely.
And talk to those people. But I'm grateful that you do this. I'm grateful that Amesbury
And
Community
share
Television.
these clips because people will come from surrounding areas to come to Amesbury, to come to these businesses, and that's what we want to.
That's true. Share them.
Right.
Help promote them.
Great.
So thank you, Faulkner Commercial Group. You and your team are fantastic. Amesbury Community Television, they have a lot of patience with us with all of this editing that goes into this. And then, of course, our friends at Mountaintop Landscaping. Thank you for helping, again, give us that sneak peek behind the brick wall and show more of the community what our business owners are doing.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.